morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Sports Memo and Wager Talk's new show, Family Affair. We're making sports betting history, guys. There's never before on any panel has there been 1, 2, 3, 4 family members. I am honored to be here. This is a great panel. Let's bring them on. I am honored to be here with the First Lady of Las Vegas, Dionne D'Amico, the pen, the stat man himself, Ralph Michaels, and the doctor is making a household, Dr. Chuck. Let me start real quick with Dionne D'Amico. Dionne, good morning. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for asking. Happy to be here with you guys today.
I love having you here, and I love having you down the hall. I just love that. My good friend, Ralph Michaels. Ralph, we really want to say thank you because we had an issue last week, Dan and myself, and Ralph and Jeff and Dr. Chuck were kind enough to really, go above and beyond. Dan and I were going through our fourth battle of COVID. Unfortunately, Vegas is tough with that. Our good buddy, Ralph. Ralph, good morning, and thank you for last week again.
And thanks to Dr. Chuck for filling in this week. Fortunately, Jeff is not sick, but if you were ever born and raised in Cleveland, and then you get to go to an Indians playoff game, especially an afternoon day game. I love afternoon playoff day baseball game. Jeff, bring home a winner for the Indians, or should I say Guardians, to be politically correct.
Gotta love it. By the way, guys, and once again, Ralph just said, Jeff is over. Jeff Michaels will not be with us here today. He is at the series opener at the Guardians, and he did tell us he's going to have a hot dog and a beer for all of us out there. And I want to say, Jeff, man, have fun. You are missed. We are going to get you later on the show, all of his big games for the weekend. So I know that a lot of you are anxious to see what Jeff's doing because he's doing great work over at Sports Memo. Let me go to the doctor. He's making a household. Guys, I'm going to tell you, 3 great doctors, Dr. Seuss, Dr. J, and Dr. Chuck. But Dr. Seuss and Dr. J, they can't pick winners like this guy. Dr. Chuck, welcome.
Yeah, I'm glad to be filling in for Jeff. I suppose Ralph and Joe and Dionne will have to fight over who is adopting me this week into the family. But yeah, I know Jeff. He's got a fever, and the only prescription is more Bieber. So I know he didn't want to miss that game.
Gotta love you.
Oh my God! Between the Dr. Seuss joke and it's Friday morning, guys. That's a little heavy for Friday morning at 8 a.m. in Vegas.
I know. I'm in Central Ohio here, not a Guardians fan, but it's not like the NFL. I'm definitely rooting for this team and have many futures pending. May have a pennant future, so I hope Jeff brings home a win as well.
Guys, Ralph, Dionne, sports fans, Dr. Chuck, great time of year. College and pro football in full effect. We're starting the MLB playoffs. The NHL is right around the corner. NBA right around the corner. It's a great time for all of you out there and all of us because we love to come at you and bring you the best quality winners and betting insights. Wager Talk Sports Memo. Real quick, guys, hit that subscribe button. You see it going across the bottom of your screen. You don't want to miss any of Sports Memo TV's amazing content. And before we give out any free winners for today's card, we are live, so the floor is open. Comment or questions for our panel, fire away. We're going to try to get to some of those or most of those during the show. Couple of quickies. There is a couple of discounts we want to make you aware of. First of all, there's a new discount over at Sports Memo. Any purchase of $25 or more, you get $10 off. Use code MEMO10 upon checkout. And guys, I got to tell you, the deals page, a lot of you aren't aware of it, but I'm making you aware of it right now. We know that saving your money is just as good as making your money. If you check out the deals page over at Wager Talk and Sports Memo, I'm going to tell you this. Some of your favorite cappers have some amazing savings there. Go check it out after the show. Real quick, guys, I'm a big advocate of this, and I know that every successful sports bettor and sports handicapper on the planet use the Gold Sheet, the oldest and most respected of all betting publications. After the show, www.goldsheet.com. Use what the pros use. Without any further ado, we're going to go to a very exciting portion of our show, our Underdog moneyline parlay. Let's fire it right away with one of my favorite people in the world, and certainly one of the most respected people in the history of sports betting, Ralph Michaels. Ralph, the floor is yours.
Back, straight up money line winning underdogs here on the show for me, going for a 4th straight. It actually might be a 5th straight, but I'm going to go to the Peach State, and I am going to back the Georgia Southern Eagles. The Georgia Southern Eagles come in at 3-2, having switched their offense from the rush attack to a pass-happy attack. They've done a nice job at it, but when I look at what the Eagles have done on the road, I have no problems backing them here. They've gone to Nebraska as a 23-point dog. They've gone to UAB as a double-digit dog. They've gone to Coastal Carolina as a double-digit dog. Yes, they might be 1-2 straight up, but they covered all 3 games, and they're actually plus 16 yards per game in those 3 games. Georgia State started the season 0-4, and am I convinced that an upset win against Army turned their season around? Absolutely not. They did hold the option, but I'm not worried about that. Having the pass attack here, Georgia State allowing 67% completions. Georgia Southern Eagles, leg number 1 of the moneyline underdog parlay.
I think we lost connection.
He told you himself, Ralph Michaels. Thank you. Back to back underdog money line parlay winners from Ralph Michaels. He's the best I've ever seen when it comes to stacks in this business. Thank you, Ralph. Guys, let's go right into it. The doctor's making a house call today, and he is filling in for Jeff Michaels. We miss you, Jeff. We love you, but he is over at that Guardians game. But I got to tell you, Dr. Chuck's killing it all over Sports Memo. We may have to adopt him into the family affair. Let's go to Dr. Chuck. Doc, the floor is yours.
Okay, can you hear me? I'm sorry. As Ralph said, this is just my second appearance, but I did roll out Kansas last week as a home dog, and they came through. And as Ralph and Jeff and I were joking, the graphic won the barking dog parlay. Unfortunately, the graphic was not correct, and we just narrowly missed that play last week. And yeah, I love his starting play there. I have the Eagles as a favorite, so I love that spot. I suppose I have the biggest dog here, the most lopsided chance. But what better than when Bailey Zappi is going to make his first NFL start? What better than to take the Hilltoppers? Obviously he's not there anymore. The offense is just as explosive. Tyson Helton off of a loss is really solid. They lost at home to Troy last week as close to a touchdown favorite. And, after the game, Helton said that kind of went how I thought it would go. And, he's having some growing pains here with Austin Reed, but Austin Reed looks the part of Bailey Zappi. The Roadrunners of UTSA are just last year's news. Amazing coach. Jeff Traylor's phenomenal. And they had an amazing season. And I'm kind of taking a little bit of a piece of what Ralph said last week. And this is the Conference USA championship game from last year. I was really big on Bailey Zappi to go down to the Alamo Bowl and win that game. They didn't. UTSA finished that season off, and good for them. No Sincere McCormick. I understand that their offense is very dangerous and they can put up a bunch of yards and a bunch of points, but their defense is absolutely Swiss cheese, and I don't like that against Western Kentucky's offense, and especially coming off of a loss. I think 6.5, 5.5, 6. It's just all too many points. You are getting a 2-1 dog here, so maybe that's a little bit bigger than you might want to play. But I think this should be closer to just home field advantage. I would really have a hard time thinking that UTSA would be a favorite if this was in Western Kentucky, and so that's part of what I like here. But I think Austin Reed turns it around. His numbers have looked great, but not analytically, and I think he can turn that around against this kind of defense. It's probably going to be a close game, and I think the Hilltoppers avoid a 2-game losing streak here and get us through with leg 2.
Sports fans making a household. Dr. Chuck says the Hilltoppers plus 210. Great breakdown, great analysis. Let's go over to the First Lady of Las Vegas, who is proving that woman can kick butt and take names in sports betting. She's all over the Sports Memo leaderboard. Dionne D'Amico, what is your underdog money line parlay play, please?
Thank you. Starting the season off with wins over Bethune Cookman and Southern Miss gave Miami a false sense of hope. But trust me when I tell you, the last few weeks, the shoe has dropped on this team. They lost on the road to a very overrated Texas A&M and took a beat down 2 weeks ago at home against Middle Tennessee State. Oh, by the way, if you're keeping score, they have failed to cover 3 straight. Now they must face a very dangerous North Carolina team. Once again, this season, the Tar Heels own one of the most explosive offenses in the nation, averaging over 45.4 points per game. They are equally strong on the ground and in the air. While the Hurricanes' Tyler Van Dyke is an adequate quarterback, Tar Heels' Drake May leads the ACC in passing touchdowns, passing yards per game, and passing efficiency. This doesn't bode well for Miami here, as they rank 95th defensively against the pass. Granted, the UNC defense leaves a lot to be desired. Their stats are absolutely horrible, but it will be their well-balanced offense that will control the tempo of this game. Look for May to add to his 1,594 yards passing and 19 touchdowns here. Guys, the wrong team is favored here. And if you want a little history, North Carolina has taken the last 3 meetings in this series straight up. Things are going to go from bad to worse for the Canes here. They're going to suffer the worst defeat at home in quite a while. So go ahead and take the Tar Heels on the money line.
Sports fans, the first leg of Las Vegas is take the Tar Heels on the money line for our third of 4 legs of our Underdog money line parlay. I'm very excited about my contribution here, my friends. Just like me, I'm going to keep this analysis very short and extremely sweet. And if you don't believe me, guys, just ask my wife how short and how sweet I am, my friends. We're going to go to the NFL this Sunday. In the Chargers, you've got an offense that tops the NFL in passing. And in the Browns, you've got a unit that's one of the best at rushing the ball. They rank second in the league. They average over 187.3 yards per game on the ground. The game plan here for the home team Cleveland squad is a heavy, heavy, heavy dose of Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. While without question, once again, without question, I definitely give the quarterback edge to Justin Herbert over Jacoby Brissett. I really don't think you're going to see the Browns quarterback try to trade touchdown passes with his counterpart in this matchup. Cleveland will keep the ball on the ground, and pound, it wearing away at the LA defense. The Chargers, they don't have the luxury of a running game at all, and they rank dead last in the league, rushing for just 64.5 yards per game. So Cleveland's going to take away their edge by controlling the clock and keeping the LA potent passing attack on the sidelines, folks. I look for the Browns to get a big home win here. I think one more thing, I really do think that we can all agree about the Chargers. They're not very consistent. They don't seem to be able to string together straight back-to-back consistent performances, my friends. And that's another reason why I like the Browns to win this game outright and why I'm putting them as my Underdog money line release. Take Cleveland plus 115. I want to bring our cast back on because our good friend Jeff Michaels, who is not here, has a wonderful graphic for us, and I want to show everybody this. So obviously we've got each of the plays. We've got the Georgia Southern Eagles plus 125 from Ralph. Dr. Chuck gave us Western Kentucky Hilltoppers plus 210. Dionne D'Amico, North Carolina Tar Heels plus 145. And your host, Joe D, says the Cleveland Browns plus 115. Just to let you know, a $100 bet on this 4-team money line Underdog winning parlay will bring you back over $3,574. Guys, get this in because each week we're getting very close. 3 out of 4. I think I ruined us last week. I came very close thanks to that Arkansas kicker. I thank you a lot, buddy. I love you. But this is great. And guys, if you miss any portion of the show, we're going to run down all our picks later on at the end of the show. Without any further ado, I'm excited about it. I know you are. We have 4 roundtable games we're going to be covering. Our first roundtable game, let me get that up there. It is going off Saturday, 12 p.m. Eastern. Tennessee at LSU. Currently, the Volunteers are 3 with a total of 65. Let's go to the doctor himself making a house call. Dr. Chuck, the floor is yours.
Yeah, raise your hand. Raise your hand if during the Derek Dooley, Butch Jones, Lane Kiffin, post Phil Fulmer era, you thought that just a few years down the road, the Tennessee Volunteers would go to the Swamp and be favored against LSU, and it's probably the right way to go. LSU, since that absolute Joe just mentioned Arkansas kicker, I love you, similar to what happened to Brian Kelly in his opening game against Florida State there with that debacle of an ending. LSU is 1 point from being 5-0. I think good for them. I think that's probably what maybe gets us a little bit of a better line here. There's not a whole lot of guys out there in the world that people love to hate than Brian Kelly. And, I think he probably gets some undue hate. But what Josh Heupel's done here with the Volunteers, this is a real offense. This is insane. They're a top 5 net drive efficiency offense. I like to always analyze based on schedule. And Tennessee rates at 4-0, the way they've looked. Florida did come in to Neyland, and it was really a tough battle. And obviously going to LSU and playing the Swamp is never easy, and especially if you're going to be laying points. I think Tennessee is the winner of this game. I think the offense is too good, and I think Jaden Daniels is doesn't seem to have the confidence. I'm not sure what it is. Maybe the flashes he showed at Arizona State were just flashes, and he doesn't have it, or Brian Kelly can't figure out how to make this work. Tennessee's backfield is able to be punished. So if Jaden Daniels is willing to throw the ball and maybe air it out a little bit, they could stay in this. But I don't think LSU's defense, even as good as it is, definitely the best defense Tennessee has faced, can stop Hendon Hooker, who can move the pocket incessantly. And Josh Heupel's offensive mind looks like it is as sharp as it gets. I think this is this line for a reason. I think Vegas is telling you, since Nick Saban took over at LSU, they've only been home dogs 15 times. That's back in the late 90s, folks. And so, and most of those times they were home dogs was when after Saban left and went to Alabama, or last year at the end of that reign. And so this is this line for a reason. I think it's a red herring. I think I would hate to hold an LSU ticket and watch Hendon Hooker run all over this defense. And I'm interested to hear what Ralph has to say, because we talked a lot of SEC last week, 2 different SEC games, and he was pretty dead on with his Kentucky analysis. So I'm pretty pumped to hear if he thinks that the Swamp is a place where Tennessee might take a loss. I don't think that's the way I'd go.
Sports fans, what we've come to expect from Dr. Chuck: great betting insights, great analysis, great breakdown. Thank you, Dr. Chuck. Let's go right into Ralph Michaels. Ralph, Tennessee LSU televised game. A lot of noise about this game. Volunteers 3-65. The floor is yours, Ralph. Take it away.
Well, number one, I think the time of the game certainly helps Tennessee. When I do my power ratings on my home field edge, I give Penn State whiteout game and night games in LSU my highest home rating edge. It drops significantly during the day. Not the same crowd, not the same atmosphere. Can we trust Tennessee on the road? Well, they went into Kentucky last year and they won. And while we don't normally think of the Pitt Panthers as a strong home field, remember earlier this year in that primetime game, Pitt set a record for home attendance. It was a raucous crowd. It did go into overtime, but going into Pittsburgh and winning that game to me was impressive. Can Hooker handle the pressure on the road? Well, let's see. In 2 years at Tennessee, he has, a 39-3 touchdown to interception ratio. Dr. Chuck had mentioned a 4-1 team for LSU with 4 straight wins. Makes this line a little smaller than I have. And in fact, I went to my database, and when teams like LSU got outgained by 150 yards or more and won the game early in the season from weeks 2 through 8, those teams have gone 25-50, 33% against the spread. They had 270 yards last week against Auburn. They got outgained by 168 yards. I think this line is short for me. I will back the Tennessee Volunteers. And by the way, when an AP ranked team has rest like Tennessee has, going back since 2013, they have covered 56.5% against the spread.
The betting insights are unrivaled by Ralph Michaels, and his stats are just amazing. Great minds think alike. Both Dr. Chuck and Ralph say Tennessee this week. Great stuff, guys. Without any further ado, we're going to go to our second roundtable game. Guys, very exciting matchup. Being played right here in sunny Las Vegas, going 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday. BYU, Notre Dame. Interesting line here, that hook. That hook. We always got to fear that hook. Fighting Irish 3.5 and 51. I've got the floor, so let me play Derek Jeter and lead away with this one. My friends, the Cougars Fighting Irish matchup might be one of the toughest games I feel to handicap on the entire college football card this Saturday. BYU enters this game the number 16 team in the nation, following decisive wins over South Florida and Baylor to begin the campaign. They then suffered a loss on the road in Oregon a few weeks back, only to have won their last 2 outings at home over Wyoming and Utah State. However, there's always a however, they have failed to cover 3 straight, sports fans. Notre Dame had one of their worst starts of the campaign I can remember in recent memory. Right? They opened up the 2022 regular season with back-to-back losses at the hands of Okie State and Ohio State. Both forgivable defeats, guys. We're not going to blame them for that. Before getting a win and no cover at home against Cal, but seemed to have turned things around a little bit on the road with a straight up and against the spread victory in North Carolina. As I mentioned earlier, this is one of the toughest games on the college football card to handicap, in my opinion. If this game was being played in South Bend, it would change things for me. But, guys, it is not being played in South Bend. It is being played in Las Vegas at Allegiant Stadium. And as a 32-year resident of Las Vegas, I will tell you, you're going to see a lot of Cougars fans in those stands making that short trip from Utah. They also have a more experienced and reliable quarterback at the helm. Speaking of offenses, BYU does not turn the ball over. This just astounds me, guys. As a matter of fact, they have 0 turnovers so far this season. To add insult to injury, Notre Dame's defense have created 0 turnovers in the campaign so far. One team that doesn't turn the ball over, one team who doesn't create turnovers. Interesting there. It makes you go, Having said all that, with a line of 3.5, I definitely put a small lean on the Cougars here, folks. But I will say this is the matchup that I personally will gauge upcoming contests for both of these teams. The next few weeks, judging from how these two teams play each other here, I will gauge how I look at them and handicap these two teams over the next few weeks. So, sports fans, this is certainly one to tune in on Saturday. A small lean on the doggy, woof, woof, plus the 3.5. The First Lady of Las Vegas doesn't just share a last name with me, Dionne D'Amico. She is all over those sports memo leaderboards. I'm interested to see because, guys, we live together. We do some games together in my office. She then goes to her office, and I never know who she's going to come up with on her games. Dionne D'Amico, BYU, Notre Dame, played right here just a few miles away from our house. Irish, 3.5, 51. Take it away.
Thank you. And I do agree with you. This should be an interesting game. And living in Vegas the last few days, Joey and I have seen a ton of Cougar fans around town. This is basically a home game for them, as Utah is just a short trip to Vegas by car and even shorter by plane. As for Notre Dame, they're not going to see a lot of friendly faces in the stands. These two teams have met 8 times already, with the Fighting Irish leading the series 6-2. But the Cougars and Irish have never played at a neutral site. And like I said, this is basically a home game for BYU. The Cougars also have a much better quarterback and are one of the best teams in the nation, avoiding mistakes. And like Joey did mention, they don't turn the ball over and don't commit a lot of penalties. And as a handicapper, that line of 3.5 makes it even more appetizing. So I'm going to go ahead and take BYU in this one.
Wow, guys. I got to tell you, great minds think alike. Those D'Amicos are all over BYU. We should be at this game this weekend. We were offered tickets, but unfortunately, we'll probably be hungover. Not literally, but hungover. We've got Tom Jones Friday night. There's no way we can make this game tomorrow. Dionne D'Amico, Joe D'Amico both say Cougars. Now, Dionne, let me ask you this, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but I've got to ask. If this line was a 3, does it change your angle on this game at all?
Absolutely.
Gotta love it. A woman of few words, so unlike her husband, guys.
You have to be careful. You have to be careful with those halves, So if this was at 3, I would, put a smaller lean on it and probably maybe, rethink it. But getting that 3.5 points makes it so much more worth it. So yeah, I would definitely take it BYU plus the 3.5.
Remember, sports fans, the difference between winning and losing in sports betting is that 0.5 point. Don't go anywhere. We've got another few roundtable games and our best bet segments. Then, if you missed anything, no need to fret. We're going to run down all these games again later on at the end of the show. We're going to go to our Sunday roundtable games. I'm really excited about this. We've got 4 weeks, 4 games for most of these teams in the books. A lot of things are shaping out like we thought back in August about the regular season, and some things are not. Some teams we thought we were winning are not. Some teams we thought weren't going to do so well are doing well. It's really interesting. That makes for great football, and I'm very interested to see how our panel are going to handle these games. Our third roundtable game today, guys, is going to be I'm sorry, guys, my apologies, is going to be Miami at New York. The Dolphins are currently 3-46. She just had the floor. Let's stay with Dionne D'Amico because I want to finish up with Dr. Chuck on this round. Dionne, interesting matchup. Miami, New York Dolphins, 3-46. AFC East battle combatants. Dionne, it's all you.
Yeah, just like a magician uses smoke and mirrors to distract you, the odds makers are looking to confuse us in this matchup. Yes, Zach Wilson is back at the helm, and he's much more mobile and dangerous than the aged Joe Flacco. And yes, Tua Tagovailoa has been ruled out here, but trust me when I tell you, any head coach in the league would kill to have Teddy Bridgewater as a backup quarterback. Prior to last week's loss at Cincinnati, Miami, going back to last season, covered 4 in a row and 7 of their last 9. By the way, going back to Baltimore, going back to the Bengals matchup, If you recall, the game was played on a Thursday night and gave the Dolphins an extra few days to rest, heal, and prepare. I feel Bridgewater and the Miami offense will have a ton of success here against the 26th ranked Jets defense. Going back to Wilson, back at starter here this week, please remember that New York does not have a rushing game to rely upon. And while the Dolphins' pass defense leaves a lot to be desired, overall they are improving each outing. Moreover, look for them to get a little bit of help from the New York offense, as the Jets have already committed 9 turnovers. Even with Wilson in and Tagovailoa out, I still feel the Dolphins should be closer to a 5 or 6 point favorite in this matchup. And please remember, why are we here? It's all about who covers, and they are a covering machine. They are 7-1-1 ATS the last 9 meetings with the Jets, which does include 4 straight covers in New York. So I'm going to go ahead and take Miami here.
Sports fans, great breakdown, great analysis from the First Lady of Las Vegas, who I don't know where she gets it from. Is as entertaining as she is informative. Great stuff, Dionne, who says this line should be closer to 5 or 6. I want to go to the doctor, and I intentionally put this lineup in this order because I wanted to finish up with the doctor here, because Dr. Chuck has got some great breakdowns and great analysis, and I wanted to see if he agrees with Dionne or he contradicts her. Dr. Chuck, Miami, New York Dolphins 3-46. Take it away.
My girl D. All right, so this is my Lee Corso. I'm a little bit younger and in better shape, I think, at the moment than Lee Corso, but not so fast, my friend. I just think I'm not a big distraction guy, and probably getting out of town does help, but this is a mess. They already had an off-season mess. This is an absolute disaster going on with this team. So you could make an argument that that is a good reason to just get the hell out of Miami and face off against a team like the Jets. But is there a team that the public wants to fade more than the New York Jets? You know, the Jets suck. I mean, Zach Wilson didn't look too bad. Robert Saleh has already shown this season is going to be pulling complete rabbits out of hats, beating this AFC North division. You know, they didn't beat the Bengals. They do have that one common opponent in there. You know, somehow they beat the Browns. Somehow they beat the Steelers, leaving both those coaches on the sidelines just completely shaking their heads. This line is awful, I think, because for so many of the reasons that Dionne brought up, and has me looking at the money line on the Jets. Honestly, I do like Teddy Bridgewater, and I think it's a bummer what's happened to him. He has always kind of gotten a chance at each of his stops since Minnesota, but he might have been the man in Minnesota, and this might be a whole different world if he didn't have that unbelievable knee injury. I think everything about this is silly talk. Just to go in Ralph's perspective, just since 2019, there's been about 48 times where a team was a home dog inside the division of less than 4, and they're 30-18 against the spread, cashing at about 62% in this spot. And we don't need, I guess if it was 3, we're back to that BYU Notre Dame conversation. What are you going to get? I think this is a very competitive game. I think Mike McDaniel has a lot of stuff going on. Jalen Waddle is on the injury report. Xavier Howard is on the injury report. Garrett Wilson, they're really going to need Xavier Howard for the way Garrett Wilson has come out as a professional receiver, just like so many of the Buckeyes, Homer here. He's looked amazing, had that game-winning catch against the Browns. And Zach Wilson has, just like Dee said, Zach Wilson changes everything. Joe Flacco is almost slower than Tom Brady and can do anything with the ball. Of course, he's shorter, but he moves to find the pocket to make the throws. And I like this to be a really close game that I think the Jets can pull out, which will not freak them out in the fourth quarter. And so many of the numbers go on this. This would be a really good teaser leg, even though, like we channel Kelly with our barking dog, and the teasers have been pretty gross this season. But this is a pretty good teaser leg if you're going to get close to 10 points on the Jets here, because I think they're a barking dog. And I just wouldn't want anything to do with the Dolphins in this spot for so many of the reasons that Dee said.
All right, great stuff. Great stuff from Dr. Chuck. We got our first basic contradiction to the roundtable. We're going to Dr. Chuck. I want you to know, Dee and I were talking about possibly adopting you into the D'Amico family until you contradicted Dionne, and she just texted me. She says that adoption is over. Great stuff from Dr. Chuck, guys. We've got another roundtable game before we get into our best bet segments. And once again, guys, if you missed any of our free content, don't worry. We're going to run them down back at the end of the show. So our fourth roundtable game, back in the day, I know Ralph definitely remembers this because we go back a little bit longer than Dionne and Dr. Chuck. But these afternoon NFL games, we used to call them late bailout games. Back in the day before everybody had a sports book on their phone, you had to play with the local bookmaker. If you didn't make enough money during the week or through the early games on Sunday, you needed to get even on these later games. This is a very interesting matchup. Dallas at Los Angeles. The Rams are currently 5.5, 43. This goes off 4:25 Eastern Standard Time on Sunday. Let's go to one of the sharpest minds in sports betting today. Let's let Ralph lead off on this one. Ralph, the floor is yours.
All right, it's simple for me. How can you not bet on the defending Super Bowl champions at home, off a loss, against a backup quarterback on the road? Well, it's simple. I think Dallas is the better team here. You look at the stat profile. The Rams are number 24, getting outgained by 47 yards per game. Dallas is number 15, outgaining foes by 24 yards per game. The Rams season. Buffalo, outgained by 170 yards. Arizona, outgained by 26 yards. San Francisco, outgained by 70 yards. The only game they had a yardage edge, Atlanta, the pitiful Falcons, who, again, did beat the Browns last week, but they had a 76-yard edge. They did have a big lead and got backdoored in that game. I look at Dallas. Dionne talked about a covering machine in the NFL. Well, Dallas on the road, 9-1 their last 10 road games. Cooper Rush is a quarterback that's been in the system for multiple years. It's one thing having a young quarterback start that doesn't know the system. Cooper Rush knows the system. Remember, he plays almost exclusively in the preseason, has a lot of reps with a lot of quarterbacks with Prescott's injury. So I actually like Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush, a 4.0 ratio. Matt Stafford, a 4.6 ratio. I'm going to end it with this, Joey, and throw it to you. Teams off a division Monday night game on the road and then play the following Sunday. So you have an emotional division game where you traveled. You have covered 36.2% since 2014 against 17-30 ATS. I think this line should be closer to 3. Yeah, it's only 2.5 points of value. The back door always open for the Cowboys. I will back Dallas this week.
Great stuff from Ralph Michaels. Ralph, I got to tell you, I've been doing this for many, many years, and I've shared panels with a lot of people. And as the host and orchestrator of everything going on behind the scenes, I have other duties here. But every time you take the floor, I sit and I listen. You remind me of those old E.F. Hutton commercials because you're so intuitive and your angles are so I'll tell you, even for a guy like me, a seasoned vet, I listen to everything you have to say, and this is why you're so well received by our viewers out there. Ralph Michaels says the Cowboys. Now, I'm going to back cleanup on this one. Let's see if great minds think alike, my friends. Now, I will tell you, we've all heard of Super Bowl hangovers. However, it seems that the Los Angeles Rams are taking that to another level. I know they're just 2-2 after a month into the regular season. A lot can happen between now and December, but to be quite honest with you, this team is in serious trouble. They beat teams that on paper they should have beaten, Atlanta and Arizona, and they lost to teams that on paper they should have lost in Buffalo and San Francisco. But it is the 49ers game that really influences my angle on this matchup here this week. First of all, guys, I don't normally judge a current contest from a last week performance, but I think we can't overlook what happened in that game last week. Let me tell you what I mean by that. First of all, they come off a short week having played on Monday night, and normally I don't gauge, like I just said, a current game solely on the previous team's performance from the week before, but it's hard to ignore the fact that the Rams just can't move the chains or, moreover, put any points on the board, folks. I mean, they ranked 28th in total yardage, 20th in passing yards, 30th in rushing yardage, and 29th in points scored. They're not just struggling. They're out of sync offensively. I mean, there are a lot of funny things I could have said about this, but very seriously, I would be worried if I was on the Rams, if I was a coach on the Rams, or if I was a Rams fan. They're just They're out of sync. They don't look right. We know about hangovers. This is more than just a hangover. I feel there's some underlying issues that we don't know about on this team. And I think you're going to start seeing them a lot of dissension. You're going to hear about arguments in locker rooms and maybe even on the sidelines during these upcoming games. Having said that, guys, they're averaging just a dismal 17.5 points per game. Granted, the Cowboys offense, they're not lighting up any scoreboards, but when your defense is allowing just 15.5 points per game, you really don't need to light the scoreboard up, folks. There's a lot of talk this week, that we might have seen the return of Dak Prescott, but the way that Cooper Rush has looked, if I was a Dallas coach, I would definitely keep Prescott on the sidelines until I know he's 100% healthy. And guys, I want you to know, Ralph made some good points, and I do like Cooper Rush a lot. He made some great points about Cooper Rush. I want to tell you something. When you're a backup quarterback, you don't take the chances that you normally take when you are the starter. When we both know Cooper Rush doesn't have the athletic ability that Dak Prescott has, but that means he's not going to go out on a limb and make mistakes. We're going to get to that. Put a pin in that, guys. The way Cooper Rush has looked, if like I said, I would keep him in until Dak is healthy. The backup quarterback committed 0 mistakes so far. In my opinion, that's the most impressive stat about Rush. That and the W she's putting on the board. In my opinion, it really is impressive. I like this kid a lot. I think he's got a bright future. They're going to keep the ball on the ground with a heavy dose of the rushing attack. This will allow the passing game to open up, and Rush can pick his spots in the air, guys. All right, this is going to be a very slow-moving contest. Dallas is going to keep the ball on the ground, controlling the clock and the tempo, keeping the LO defense where? On the field, and more importantly, their offense off of it. Not only do I think this game is going to be a lot closer than the point spread, I think Dallas has a good chance of winning this game outright. This is a team that's 5-0 ATS the last 5 games played on the road, 16-5 ATS the last 21 played versus the NFC. Meanwhile, let's do some ATS trends for LA. 1-4 the last 5 played at home, 3-7 the last 10 versus teams with a winning record. Take the points to the bank with the Cowboys here, guys. Say it with me. Go Cooper Rush. I love this kid. I think he's got the intelligence and the savvy. And once again, it's always about mistakes. Doesn't matter how good you are. It's about the mistakes you make that change the whole game. And I think the Cowboys win outright here this week, guys. Let's bring the whole panel back on, guys. Don't go anywhere. The most exciting portion of the show, our best bet segment. Now, I did mention that our good buddy Jeff is not here today, and he just texted me. He says he's on his second beer and his third hot dog sitting in the stands, guys. We just want him to have a good time. He's a big sports fan. He loves those Guardians. But Jeff wanted me to tell everybody out there what he's got going on. He said this is the perfect time to get a 3-day pass. We got those great discounts, the customer appreciation discounts over at Sports Memo. He's got 4 plays in baseball today. 2 on the Guardians game. 1 is on the series. 1 is on the side. So go get those early. He said he also has 2 late plays. He's got 5 college football plays with a 5% play already posted and 7 NFL plays with another 5% play. So this is the perfect opportunity to cash in on 3-day pass. Guys, I got to tell you, Jeff Michaels is more than just Ralph's son. He has made a name for himself over at Sports Memo. He is kicking butt and taking names. And if you don't believe me, numbers don't lie. Go over to Sports Memo after this show. Go look at Jeff's numbers. He is really doing well in multiple sports. And this is a time where you want really, even if you want to dip your toe, I promise you, if you dip your toe in the Jeff Michaels pool, he's going to make a believer out of you. You're going to dive in right away. I promise you that. Having said that, guys, and as you can hear, my dogs are going crazy. They love Jeff too. Let me do this. I've got the floor. Let me start off with the best bet segment. I'm very excited today. The best bets here on this show have been very, very good. And I want you to know that best bets sometimes make it to the premium place on both Wager Talk and Sports Memo for Ralph, Chuck, Dionne, myself, Jeff. And this is a game that I will tell you that I'm going to give you free that still may make it as a premium site. But let me give you a little bit of self-promotion. I'm a little humble. I'm a little shy. So I'm going to go on a limb here, my friends. I come off my AFC Total of the Month winner last night. And the Colts Broncos going where? Under, Johnny, under. For tonight, guys, I'm very excited. I have my Mountain West Conference Moneymaker release. I own the Mountain West Conference. I know this conference. I see it every day living in Vegas for over 32 years. I'm also going to let you behind the curtain. Shh, don't tell anybody. Just keep this between us, guys. I will have several games of the month this weekend in college and pro football. Last weekend, I put up 2 games of the month. They went 2-0. I am the best big game hunter on the planet. And together, we're going to hunt, stalk, and kill the books this weekend. I have a game of the month going off on Saturday, a game of the month going off on Sunday, and Monday night, most likely, Most likely, I will have my Monday night game of the year, which will be a 10% play. As you know, I'm 16-1 in 2022 with my 10% plays. This is an ideal time for you to take advantage of those great 3, 7, and 30-day discounts over at Sports Memo. Follow me, and not only will you follow me to the bank, you're going to own the damn bank. They're making a bank president. Now, let me go to my best bet for today's show. I'm very excited, guys. 1 o'clock on Sunday. We got what I feel is the most exciting team in the NFL right now. My friends, believe it or not, the wrong team is favored in the Detroit Lions New England Patriots game on Sunday. Obviously, this is new territory for Bill Belichick and the Patriots. We haven't seen them start a season 1-4 as far back as I can remember. Not only are they not winning, they are crushing bettors. They just got their first cover of the 2022 campaign last week. They had insult to injury. They're running out of quarterbacks up in Foxborough, folks. Mac Jones, out. Brian Hoyer, out. That leaves Dr. Chuck's favorite new guy. Bailey's happy. Who? Bailey's happy. I mean, in all sincerity, even with Jones and then Hoyer, this offensive unit was struggling. They're putting an atrocious 18.5 points per game on the board, and they've already committed, 9 turnovers. A little while ago, we talked, I mentioned about turnovers. No matter how good you are, and this is not a very good offensive unit, but turnovers make a double-digit team go to less than a 500 team. And this team is getting killed with turnovers, and that was with Mac Jones and with Brian Hoyer at the helm, guys. I know. The Lions defense, they're horrible, guys. But that's old news. There's nothing new there. You know what is new news and new headlines is the fact that they possess, double and triple check this stat, the top scoring offense in the NFL right now. That's right. The Detroit Lions are accounting for a whopping 35 points per game. They're ranked number 1 in total yardage, number 5 in passing yards, and number 6 in rushing yards. Jared Goff has got a better receiving core here than he has ever had in his tenure in the NFL. Yeah, I said it, guys. Best receiving core he's ever had at his disposal. I'm going to tell you right now. And they're very unselfish. You don't have playmakers. You don't have guys that are looking me, and spiking balls. They're very unselfish. This is a very good receiving core. And I expect even greater things from them in the upcoming weeks. Not only that, but he has the luxury of a very potent ground game to keep defenses honest. And it will be that ground game that will keep the Patriots defense backpedaling, allowing Goff to open up the very dangerous passing attack. Once again, yes, I know the Lions defense is horrible, but I just don't see the New England offense keeping pace with them score for score. And how about the fact that the Lions, 9-2 against the spread, the last 11 in the role of an underdog. As a matter of fact, their ATS trends are some of the best in the NFL. 13-3 the last 16 following an ATS loss. 6-2 the last 8 where? On the road. 7-2 the last 9 following a straight-up loss. 4-1 the last 5 overall. Personally, I think they win this game outright, but I will take the points just to err on the side of caution. I'm going to say something I haven't said since Barry Sanders wore a Lions uniform, and that's take the Lions this weekend, folks. They are a winner on Sunday. Now, guys, I am excited. We have 3 more best bets that we're going to run down everything in a minute. So let's go to you know what? Let's go. Oh, Dr. Chuck is back. I love that, Dr. Chuck.
Right, family affair.
Your shirt. You're a great guy. I love you. Man, he changed wardrobe. He's like watching Sharon.
No.
I love it. Dr. Chuck, guys, I want you to know, he walk it like he talk it, man. If you are ailing with your sports betting profits, there's only one doctor in the industry, and that's Dr. Chuck. He is a leaderboard fixture over at Sports Memo. Doesn't matter the sport. It doesn't matter the time of year. It could be on the hardwood, the ice. It could be on the gridiron. Hey, it could be on the tennis court. I'll tell you that right now. Dr. Chuck is a moneymaker. After this show, go over to Sports Memo. Go follow Dr. Chuck. You know, follow him to the bank. Dr. Chuck's going to tell you a little bit about what he's been doing, a little bit about what he's got going on over the weekend, and he's got another free best bet for you. Dr. Chuck, the floor is all yours.
Yeah, tennis. I hammer this on every show, and I love the First Family Show because I can talk about tennis all I want. And there are tennis packages. We just have a 30-day. You can get 30 days of our tennis. Tennis is 52 weeks of the year. A lot of times there's 2 ATP and 2 WTA tournaments each week, and that's not counting the Challenger. Yesterday, we crushed it and had a 6-0 tennis day, including parlay. We do a lot of tennis parlays. And we are up 150 units on tennis parlays just since June. So, yeah, I know it's not cool and it's not popular and it's not hip and it's definitely not NFL or fantasy, things like that, but it's money. And that's what I want to bring you guys. I, with Jeff, apparently just talked last week, and taking place for normally the even more talkative Joe D'Amico. So I'm going to make it quicker here. My best bet on this show is there's a bunch of opportunity out there, but there's nothing that stuck out more to me than the Cardinals at home. I know people want to hate on the Cardinals, and people really love this Eagles story. And who couldn't? I liked a little bit of peppering on some Jalen Hurts futures for awards and things like that. It's not going to happen. It doesn't really matter what he puts up. It's not his year for the award. It's a Josh Allen, Justin Herbert thing. This might be something that's down the line. Sirianni looks good. He fought off that Doug Peterson return last week. Trevor Lawrence was a disaster, unfortunately, and where I thought the Jags would go in there and cover a pretty sizable number, and they couldn't do it. And so the public is just even further bullish on the Eagles. But I'll just do two things that are really all that matter here. Ralph talked about emotion, we talked a lot about the Cowboys. And for what it's worth, the only way to go there is the Cowboys. The Rams look every bit of the fact that Aaron Donald considered retirement and Sean McVay considered retirement, and that's what they look like. And the Cowboys probably do win that game. And they go to Philadelphia next week, and the Eagles home against Jacksonville, out to Arizona, back home against the Cowboys as a road favorite with a team in the outside of the division, with a team in the division on the line, as an undefeated team after October, 16-5 last 21 straight up, 5-16 last 21 ATS. And final thought, if this was in Philadelphia, raise your hand if you could swallow 11 points. No, thank you. Maybe even 11.5 points. Maybe you'd have to even swallow 12 points. No possibility that would happen. I think this thing, I'm assuming here, this is wrong, right? That it's not Cardinals minus 5.5. Oh. But yes, I like the Cardinals plus the points, and think that they have a really good opportunity of allowing the Dolphins to pop some champagne this weekend.
Sports fans, Dr. Chuck, a perennial leaderboard fixture of what sports member says the Cardinals. Guys, if I had the graphic wrong, forgive me. I'm the worst typist in the world. That's on me, not our producer, Chris. He couldn't make it today. He's doing some other content right now. But, guys, Dr. Chuck is the winner. If you don't believe me, go over to Sports Member after the show. Go check out his numbers. He's all over the leaderboards, 3-day, 7-day, 30-day. He's on college football, pro football. He's on tennis, for goodness sake. He's one of the best I've ever seen. He's one of the sharpest minds in sports betting today. Go follow the doctor. I'm going to tell you right now. He's got a prescription for all your sports betting woes. I love that, Doc. Doc, great stuff. And by the way, you've redeemed yourself. Dionne says you're back on the adoption list for us. We're going to take you in. My friends, the first lady of Las Vegas is a winner. She finished college football last season, number 2 over Sports Memo. She was all over the WNBA leaderboards all season long. She's been on the MLB leaderboard since opening day. Guys, college and pro football, she's kicking butt and taking names. And I got to tell you, if you don't think she's a winner, you don't need any other proof than the fact that she married me. She's a winner. I love her. She's going to tell you about what she's been doing, about what she's got going on the premium side of Sports Memo, and she's got another free best bet for you. Dionne, the floor is yours.
Thank you. This weekend, we're going to take it up a notch. I have my NCAA football Friday night winner posted right now over at Sports Memo. I will also have all of my Saturday and Sunday plays posted up by this afternoon, so make sure you head on over to the site later today and get all of those plays, because they are going to include some 5 and 10% plays. So make sure you head on over to the site right after the show, or I should say by this afternoon. And for my best bet, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the Steelers-Bills game. These are two teams that are heading in opposite directions here. The Steelers, they have lost 3 in a row, while the Bills have had their 3rd win this season. I just think it's tough to lay 14 points on a favorite, no matter who it is. But there were a few things that caught my eye on the total. Buffalo's defense is top 5 in sacks, pressures, points allowed, and turnovers. And Pittsburgh's offense is a mess. If we look at some trends to support the total, the Bills have hit the under in 3 of their 4 games this season, 5 of their last 7 games played in October, and 4 of their last 4 home games versus a team with a losing record. The Steelers, they have gone under the total in 2 of their 4 games this season, along with 25 of their last 36 games in October and 8 of their last 11 following an ATS loss. And in the last 7 meetings between Buffalo and Pitt, the under is 6-1. I just see a low-scoring game here, so I'm going to go ahead and take the under as my best bet today in the Steelers-Bills game.
A perennial leaderboard fixture over at Sports Memo, Dionne D'Amico, the first lady of Las Vegas, says take the under. She's got some big games already posted, and she's got some more going up this afternoon. She's like me. She likes to wait for those lines to move a little bit. Go over after the show. A 3, a 7, or 30-day discounted package for Dionne will bring you a huge profit no matter what you play. If you play 5, 50, 500, or 5,000 a game, she's a winner. We're going to go to one of the most respected people in the history of the sports betting industry, and he's going to be closing out the best bet segment. If you miss anything on the show, once again, we're going to run down all these plays. A couple of quick announcements. Then we're going to be out the door so you can take advantage of all this free winners that Ralph, Chuck, Deanna, and myself has to offer today. Ralph Michaels is doing amazing work over at Wager Talk, and it's not just a month or a season. You know, I always say you do something once, you do it twice, you're lucky. Do it for years. Ralph Michaels is one of the few in the history of this business. Ralph's got some, he wants to tell you about what he's been doing. He's going to tell you about what he's got on the premium side this weekend over at Wager Talk, and he's got another free best bet. Ralph, take it away.
Guys, I'm going to make it real quick, and as soon as I give you my best bet, I am going to log off for another media commitment, but I am going to go completely contrarian. Who the hell would lay 22 points with San Diego State, whose offense looks like you were watching last night's NFL game between Denver and Indianapolis? Well, I am. You also have a quarterback in Burmeister who's in concussion protocol and may not play. You also fired your OC. Why am I taking San Diego State? It's simple. I have Hawaii that bad as a team, the worst team in the FBS, a team that's allowing over 100 yards per game more than their opponents allow, 261 yards rushing per game, 6.9 yards per carry is what that defense is allowing. They bring back Jeff Horton as the OC after firing the OC. They bring back a safety who played quarterback and who might actually start this week. Why am I taking San Diego State? It's simple. It doesn't matter who is going to be quarterback. They're going to run the ball. They're going to run the ball. They're going to run the ball. They have 3 losses on the year. They're off a game against Boise State where they had 114 yards and 6 first downs. They need a feel-good win at home. Remember, they're in their new stadium. They lost their first game at home against Arizona. They did beat Toledo, but now they are going to crush Hawaii. I think the defense shuts down Hawaii. You have 2 quarterbacks for the Warriors who have a 1-6 ratio. San Diego State will have enough offense running the ball. And I want to say something that a lot of people don't think about. People say, how can you lay over 3 touchdowns with a running team like San Diego State, like Wisconsin, like Air Force? To me, I not prefer, but I don't mind playing a running team. Why? What happens when you bring in the number 2s? They have an offensive line that knows how to run. They run the ball. It's something they practice all day. Even if you bring in the 3s, you have an offensive line that runs the ball, knows how to run block, and runs the ball. When you have a passing team that has a big lead and they try to run the ball, they're out of sync. When you have a team that is a run-first team and then they run the ball late in the game in the second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, they're running the same offense that they normally run. It may be a contrarian play. Yes, it's gone over 3 touchdowns up to 22. I'm going to lay it on the San Diego State Aztecs. Jeff, bring home a winner for the Guardian. Dr. Chuck, thanks for filling in today. And, guys, I do need to run.
Ralph, thank you for everything. We love you. Have a great day, guys. Ralph is a real big sport. As you know, he's great. He had to take off. We ran a little long today. Having said that, Dr. Chuck, Deanna, and myself are going to stick around. We're going to run down everything we had on the show, maybe take a question or 2. We're going to have Dr. Chuck fill out some of that application because we are going to adopt him. We love him. Real quick, guys, let me run through a few things that we did have on the show today. Let me bring up this graphic. Our Underdog money line parlay. Now, it is a little tough to read there, but I will tell you, Ralph had the Georgia Southern Eagles plus $1.25. Dr. Chuck had Western Kentucky Hilltoppers plus 210. Dionne D'Amico, the North Carolina Tar Heels plus 145. And your sexy and savory host is Cleveland Browns plus 115. Just FYI, a $100 bet on this 4-team Underdog money line parlay will bring you back a return of $3,574 off the charts. Let me get that up so you can read that a little bit better, guys. Once again, Georgia Southern, Western Kentucky, North Carolina, Cleveland Browns, Bet it. We're getting closer and closer and closer every week. We're going to go 4-0 this week. I'm betting this. I'm telling you, Ron, I think it's good for a nickel myself. That means I'm going to have to bet it $100 a place 5 times, pain in the butt, but that's what it is when you live here in Vegas. Couple other things we want to go through real quick. Let me run down the best bets one more time. Then maybe we'll take a question or two. On the best bet segment, Ralph Michaels, who did have to take off. He had a Wager Talk TV commitment. We love him. You love him. Ralph said the San Diego Aztecs minus at 22. Great breakdown always by Ralph. Dr. Chuck says the Arizona Cardinals. By the way, Dr. Chuck, you are correct. Instead of a plus, I had a minus. My apologies. That would be a great swing. That's like that Kentucky swing yesterday. It moved 5 points and it went back 5 points. Like, what the heck happened? Dr. Chuck, my apologies. My typing skills are certainly not as good as my vocal skills. Arizona Cardinals plus 5.5. The First Lady of Las Vegas. Great breakdown, great analysis. You know, her insights are just amazing. Pittsburgh Steelers, Buffalo Bills under 45.5. And Joey D says the Detroit Lions. I like them out right here, but I'll take the 3.5, especially that hook. I love it. Let me see what else we got going on here. Oh, by the way, guys, our good buddy Jeff Michaels. He is at the Guardians game. He just texted me some gibberish. So obviously it's only the first inning, but he's 4 beers in. I'm just kidding, Jeff. Jeff is doing some great work at Sports Memo. I just want to promote him one more time, guys. He said this is a perfect time for you to get a 3-day pass. He's got 4 plays today in baseball. All right. And he also has 5 college football plays, including a 5-unit, and 7 NFL plays, including 5-unit. Perfect opportunity to cash in on a 3-day pass. You know, these 3-day passes, Dan, I believe are they $59?
I believe so.
So let me just check. Dion's the brains of this operation. I'm just the good looks. Dion, if a person goes over to Sports Memo and they get a 3-day pass, which is $59, because the purchase is $25 or more, they would get $10 off. That comes to $49. Is that correct?
Yes, it does.
Geez, Louise, it comes to $16 and change a day. You can't get a cheeseburger and a beer. You definitely can't get a hot dog and a beer at the baseball game today for $16. Guys, go follow Jeff. You're going to follow him to the bank. Let me see what else is going on. We got a couple of comments, if it's okay with you guys.
Yes.
Wow. Dion had it for Garrett, a good buddy. Garrett says, thank you again. He got your under last night. You're killing it, Dion. We love you. By the way, Garrett. Dr. Chuck, your adopted uncle, Jesse Schul, says you are gangsta with an A. With an A and 4 exclamation points. He loves you. Nobody got any comments from me except for the fact, am I wearing any pants? I'm not going to even justify, am I wearing pants with an answer. I'm going to tell you that, guys. Guys, I do want to tell you, the best collection of cappers anywhere on the planet, I'll leave that up for a while, anywhere on the planet is over at Wager Talk and Sports Memo. And I will tell you, we are very, very excited to bring you the show each week. And Jeff will be back next week. Any questions or any closing thoughts, Dion, before we take off?
No, I'm just really looking forward to this weekend and watching some football with you.
Dr. Chuck, you got any late-minute prescriptions for our people out there?
Pie Gal's trying to sneak in here with us, so I wanted to see if he wanted to hang out. But go get our packages. It's unbelievable, the deals. There's a lot of sports going on. MLB playoffs I'll be hosting the Full Count show here in a few hours. MLB playoffs are starting. There's a game every couple hours today. This is close to as good as the beginning of March Madness.
Great stuff. Now, guys, we'd like to thank you for tuning into the Family Affair Show. We're going to be coming to you every Friday morning with tons of free winners and a few surprises, too. Jeff Michaels will be returning next week with a new look, guys. For those of you who didn't catch Jeff the last few days, he dyed some of his hair blonde. And apparently blondes do have more fun because he told me he's going to dye the whole thing blonde now. He's going to come back looking like Marilyn. I'm just kidding, Jeff. He will be back next Friday. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Let me put that up. Guys, I want you to know we're very happy to come to you every day. The best collection of cappers are here at Sports Memo and Wager Talk. If it wasn't Ralph or Dan or Dr. Chuck or myself, please go over to Wager Talk or Sports Memo because there is somebody tailor-made just for you. And numbers don't lie. We're documented. I want you to know that. I think that's about it, guys. I think we have to get out of here. I don't want to leave, but I have too good of a time. Guys, on behalf of the family, our newly adopted son, Dr. Chuck, Ralph, Dion, myself, Joe D'Amico, Sports Memo, and Wager Talk, everyone out there, good luck and have a winning day.